Hello and welcome to the Lower Your Shoulder podcast. This is Jake Robbins. We're going to do something a little bit different today, as Ben will not be hosting. I'm here with Campaign for Nothing, Ben and Mike. We're going to talk about their history, where they met, and how they got to this point of releasing music together, which is a hell of an achievement.
It took quite a while.
So we're going to go right back, aren't we? We're going to go right back to the beginning. Congrats on the release of Never Let Me Down.
Thank you.
Hope everyone's enjoying that. It's out on Spotify, Apple Music, or wherever you get your music. Yeah, let's start with introducing yourselves.
I'm Ben McKelvey, half of Campaign for Nothing.
And what do you do in the band, Ben?
I sing and play guitar.
Love this. Mike, what do you do?
Hi, I'm Ben. Sorry. I sing and play guitar as well.
They do the same thing, everyone. They do the same thing.
Mike's a lot more talented than I am, to be fair. He did piano and lead guitar and other bits and pieces on the record. But yeah, it's been quite a journey to get to that first single release. Yeah.
Let's go right back. So where did you guys actually meet? I'm excited about this because I don't actually know the full story.
I don't really know the full story.
So do you know what?
When do you know?
Yeah, because you never think about these things.
Yeah.
You've known someone. I've known him for like 20 years or something. So you never like sit down and be like, do you remember when we met? You know, it's like, so, but obviously I knew we were doing this podcast. So I actually thought about how we first became mates. And my memory of this, right, is, I don't know if you remember this, but basically I'd just joined the school, right? So I was 12 or 13 and I'd come in as like a new kid because Mike and a lot of the other guys that had joined the secondary school had come through the primary school. So most of them kind of knew each other and I was like a new kid. And I remember I got invited to this birthday party and I was quite excited because I didn't really know anyone. And I was like, oh, this would be nice. And anyway, we went there and I don't know what we really did, but all I remember is that there was a big like kind of sleepover and everyone got horrendous food poisoning except for Mike and I. So we were like all staying in this bedroom and all night it was like an apocalypse. Like people were just like running out of the room. Like everyone was like puking and shitting constantly, like all night, like running around. And the only people that didn't get ill were Mike and I. And I remember just being in this bedroom while like people were running and out, like running everywhere and like, you know, just having the worst time. And then I was like, so you into any music or anything? And Mike was like, yeah, I'm into like punk and like Green Day and Rancid and stuff. I was like, oh, me too. And that was my memory of like actually becoming mates. And then, you know, then we started going to gigs and, you know, all that kind of stuff.
Mike, do you remember that?
I'm not sure, to be honest. to be honest, was it Matt Hubble?
Yeah.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
Do you remember it as vividly as Ben?
No, I think because the bit that overrides that memory is his dad got really cross at me because I cracked his head open with a baseball bat. Like it was
it sounds a lot more violent than it actually was.
Yeah. No, it was a padded one.
Oh right, yeah.
But it was like slightly, slightly broken, and
they still hurt.
But like we were like play fighting, and I kind of like jabbed it down his head, and like cracked his head.
It's good pie.
Yeah. I think that's the last time I went there.
Yeah, this is the last time you got invited to a party. Definitely.
Where did the friendship take you then?
I think we were in like classes and stuff together, and I think then me, you, and a couple of others. There was a very small group of us that were into the same sort of music and into the same sort of clothes and going skateboarding and stuff. And you know, on like non-uniform day, it was pretty much me, Mike, and one or two others that were wearing, you know, like the typical like Atticus and famous like stuff. And I think it was all through music, really.
Same interest.
Yeah.
Were you hanging out before doing music? Like you were just mates. So like music wasn't really on the cards. It was just like you were into the same stuff.
Yeah. Not playing music together. That came a lot later. But yeah, we grew up basically living between his house and my friend Callum's house over in Berkhamsted. Mm-hmm. I don't think I was really ever at my parents' house for like good few years. Like growing up, I was just tinkering between those two.
Yeah.
Until I got asked to leave one, I went to the other.
I have a similar story on like with my band. It was just like never at home.
No.
I get away with so much more not being at home.
Yeah. Well, also I had a Saturday job, and we all did actually. We all worked either at a cafe in town or somewhere. So like, you know, on a Friday night after school, I'd either be at Mike's or someone's house around there. Saturday job in the town the next morning, and then getting up to no good on the Saturday night with the 20 quid that we earned for like the whole day's work.
Yeah, completely blowing it on sweets.
Yeah, sweets, yeah.
Some kind of sweet.
Yeah.
So when did music start being a thing for you two then? Like, was it at parties you just pick up guitars and start?
For us together?
Yeah.
Yeah, because like Ben was in a band playing drums for a good few years, weren't you? And I seem to remember there was kind of a point where you wanted to play a bit more guitar.
Yeah, you actually came in before that though, because you did a solo on one of Fluid Lines song.
Oh yeah,
you did a solo on a song called Lights Down Low. That's out on Spotify.
Nice.
And yeah, so you tinkered around doing some music together, and then when that was starting to end, probably when I was 20, I think that's then when you and I started playing some songs together.
Yeah, you started getting interested in playing guitar, didn't you?
Yeah.
I think it was, yeah.
Yeah. In fact, I've actually still got a Johnny Cash autobiography that you gave me, and in the cover it says, "I hope that," it's along the lines of, "I hope this, and you know, gets you to start playing guitar." I think it was more blunt than that. I think it was like, "I hope you start to play guitar better after you read this," or something like that. But I've still got that book somewhere.
All right. Well, actually, I'm going to ask this slightly differently. So, like, Mike, have you always wanted to do music in some fashion, or is it like a later thing?
Yeah, no, I think so. I mean, from, I don't know, 11, 12. And there's a mate of mine on my street that used to play guitar as well.
Cool.
He was really good. So I always wanted to play guitar, and we used to play like music together.
Were you in any other bands or anything?
No. I did some stuff with like little bits with Fluid Lines.
You did,
I
a bit
a little
like
bit.
with Matt, and you did a few bits and pieces.
Yeah, true.
Didn't you?
Yeah.
So forget about this stuff.
Yeah,
for a long
yeah.
time.
I
of
thought about
course.
it for ages. Yeah.
So, are you someone who's more just like always picked up the guitar as opposed to having like, I want to be in a band?
Yeah, I think the
those
guitar
kind of
guitar was my interest. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think definitely.
It was Mike really that pushed me to actually.
Okay.
Because what's weird is that Mike and I started jamming together before I did my solo thing.
Right. That's what I thought.
That was the influence.
Yeah.
So Mike and I,
And then you got a bit hooked, basically.
basically, yeah. Then it was like absolutely full steam. ahead.
Yeah.
There was just like a couple of weekends, kind of when we're around 1920, when, you know, Mike would either come over to mine and stay for the weekend, or I'd go over to his. It was normally when our parents were out of town, so it'd be like, great, we'll have like a party, but also we'll write some songs. And we actually wrote quite a few songs together. And as I said, it was really Mike that was like pushed me to show him a song that I wrote. And the first song I wrote was a song called Walk Away that's on my first album. And I showed you that song, and then you were like, "Oh yeah, have you got any others?" And then, you know, he had a bunch of songs kicking around, and I started writing more. And then we started writing together.
Yeah, it's just something.
So you
when we
did
were hanging
start
out, wasn't
writing
it?
together then?
Yeah, like
Okay.
that was like the first thing. And then I think then you went to uni. Or was that after? I can't remember.
It's
Yeah,
hard
or-
to remember
trying to get the
timeline.
timeline.
Yeah, it's all right.
Yeah, or Australia, one of the.
Oh,
one of
yeah.
the others,
Yeah, I think-
that'd have done it.
Yeah. I think actually you're right. I think we put like an album worth of songs down, like recorded them, and then something funny happened to that. But basically, we had like an album on CD of just like garage band like demos. Then I think Mike went to Australia, and then I started to play like live on my own and just started doing the thing. Because we recorded this album, we were excited about it, and then we lost the album for years.
How did you lose it? Tell us. I know a few people have heard this
Because-
story on tour, but most people won't.
Right. So basically, we recorded it, and this is before the days of like iCloud and everything backed up. So we had a copy on CD. Then my Mac like packed it in, so I lost everything on there, all my photos, all my music, everything. But we had this one copy of the CD.
Why do we only have one?
Mate, I mean, why do you think we only had one? Because we were like, probably only didn't want to buy a pack of blank CDs and, you know,
Rather
ask
spend
someone.
it on.
Yeah, exactly.
Even though they're like cost like $1.99 or something.
Yeah. So we had one copy of this album that we then lost. I think it ended up in Paris with your dad, because your dad was living out there for a while. But anyway, we thought we lost it for years. And then there was this great moment on a tour, you know, years and years later, like Mike and I are touring with Wet, Wet, Wet on this like massive arena tour, which is like hilarious when you think about like how it all started. And on the last show of the tour, which was, I think it was in Inverness, Mike gives me this card and he's like, well done, mate. Here's a little thank you for a great tour. So I open up and it's like, well done, mate. And inside it had the copy of the original Campaign for Nothing album, which was amazing. It was like, no way. But unfortunately, the CD had cracked in half in his suitcase, which was like,
oh my god,
classic Campaign for Nothing.
Yeah, so it's all gone.
So we lost everything twice. Yeah, I mean that's kind of where we got up to.
And then at that point, was it like, right, should we just not bother for now?
We just got busy. Man.
Yeah,
you know, like after that tour. So that was in 2016, and then I was kind of doing it full time from that tour, basically. So, you know, life gets busy, and I went off and did all my music stuff. But we always like jammed. I mean, I saw you like all the time, like, you know. So
yeah,
it was always something we wanted to do. I don't know why it took so long, really. I guess it's like making any record. Like, it has to feel right. It doesn't have to be like, now is the time we're going to properly do this.
Yeah, but there will be things like, Mike, this is like the first time you're putting yourself out there.
Yeah.
Like, kind of front and center. Like, you are kind of more of a lead vocalist than Ben, especially on the first couple of songs. Yeah, was that a big thing to think about, overcome, or like?
Yeah, I think so. I think it took me about 20 years to
so I mean, that is a big factor.
Yeah,
like,
definitely.
You know?
Yeah. I think we also probably like took us that long to kind of have the kind of various, like, I don't want to say skills, I don't know, but
skills is a big word for us, but I know what you mean.
Yeah, it's not even quite that, but to put something like this together, I think that we wanted, that was going to be right.
For other people that don't know, you did a big tour and Mike toured with you. So could you maybe explain a bit more about how that came about?
Yeah, well, I mean, when I started doing my solo stuff and Mike came back from Australia, he jumped on and did guitar parts. He recorded like solo on Only Here Once, on Life and Love in England. And then we went on tour together, which was, I mean,
carnage.
It was like the best 6 weeks ever, but took years off our lives. still recovering.
And off a few others,
I mean, we'll probably do a separate episode about that whole tour. I'd love to like dive deep into that. But Mike, did you realise, I mean, not many people get the opportunity to do that. I know it was generally just going on tour, having a great time with your mates, but did it settle in what you'd actually done at that time?
I don't think at the time, I don't know. I think playing like lead guitar was a bit different because Ben was so kind of confident with what he was doing that he could carry it. So lead guitar is a very different thing where I knew I could just drop in and out a little bit more, and I think the pressure was slightly less there.
Yeah, totally. Like, that is, you know, obviously I've experienced that as well. That is the one really nice thing. We've all, you know, been on stage together recently, but it is quite nice to just turn up, play your parts, and not have to be like all eyes are on you, which is,
and you can take that a little bit when you want it as well, and then just slink off back into the shadows.
It's quite a relaxed, privileged, you know, position to be in. But yeah, so when did you start writing these songs? Because a lot of these songs came from you, right?
Can I say this is the most I've thought about anything in about 20 years?
Not just music,
well,
just everything.
That's what these podcasts do. They get you to think, ask questions that you...
The big turning point for me personally...
Excuse me, I was talking to Mike.
Sorry, mate. Sorry, after you.
It's right.
You didn't think about it.
It's Mike's up anyway.
But like, a lot of these songs came from you, right? So at what point did you start really committing to writing some songs for yourself?
I think I've always written songs for myself, I think. And two of the songs on this album are probably about 15, 20 years old, to be honest, like just two of them. But I think I wrote like the base of, probably the majority, like the base of it. But Ben brought like the structure and making them make sense. I think really.
It's a nice position for me to come in, because normally I start the song and finish it, and then I work with you. We bring it to life in the studio. Might get Mike in to lay a part down or whatever. But for me, I came in as like a songwriter role, to like kind of
with experience
to work,
like,
to work on an initial idea, and I'd never done that before. So it was great. But the real kind of, because, you know, as I said, we've been writing songs for a long time. We've known each other for a long time. And the thing for me, what was like, we should do this now, was I was driving and Mike sent me a text and was like, I've just sent you over a song. It's called Never Let Me Down.
Mm-hmm.
And that was something that we did quite a lot anyway, wasn't it? You know, like just like every now and again, we're like, oh, listen to this. What do you think of that?
Cool.
What's this?
Cool.
You know?
Yeah. And I didn't listen to it for ages.
Right.
Because I forgot. And then he kept going, if you listen to it, I was like, no, oh yeah, sorry, mate, I'm busy and I didn't. And then I put it on in my car. And I was going to pick up my son, and I was like a bit early. So I was like, oh, I'll quickly chuck it on, listen to it in the car. And I was just like, this is a banger. I was like, this is a fucking great song. And that was when I was like, all right, I think we need to get together now and actually think about doing this properly.
I mean, that is sort of life of a dad and multiple careers, trying to find any 3 minutes to listen to like an idea. It's often when you're like in the car and you're like, I've got to spare a few minutes.
Yeah.
But like, I know Mike's pretty chill, so you're probably just like, oh, you listen to it whenever. But like, I mean, I send you stuff and sometimes I don't nag you, but you're like, oh, maybe I'll just resend it to him. He's forgotten. I mean, that's a cool story, because that sounds like you got to a point where Mike's songwriting had kind of leveled up, made your ears prick up and go, oh, actually, I'm really excited to work on this.
And I didn't, for that song, by the way, I didn't have anything to do with it. As in, like, nice. I just sing on the chorus. The other songs Mike had sort of bought 50-60% of it in, and then we've been like, oh, this is a great chorus. How about I'm going to write a post for this now, or can we make that pre a bit tighter? Let's work out the structure a bit. But for that song, we didn't touch it at all. It's just a great song. Feel-good song. And I was like, yeah, I'd love to be part of that.
So I know for you, it was quite important, like you said, to kind of have it the other way around, because otherwise, if it's too Ben heavy, then it ends up leaning too much to your solo stuff. It's great when you work with someone else and they're sort of pulling you into like different territory. Is that what you found? Like different kind of vocals that you'd sing? And
I think that was not the problem, but what we had before with Campaign for Nothing is that Mike would write 4 songs. I'd write 4 songs. And then we'd be like, this is Campaign for Nothing. And it's like, well, no, actually, that's like more Mike's solo stuff and Ben's solo stuff. And then because we weren't, touring as that or really doing much with it, I'd be like, well, I'm going to just write songs and get them out and churn them out and go do the thing. Then when we sat down last summer,
we recorded last summer, so I don't know.
So it was the summer before that that we sat down. And I think we just had a couple of nights free, got some beers in, sat down, and we're like, cool, let's work on some songs.
And I think what was nice is that, like, because we played music together for so long, that none of it was never hard, was it?
No.
I don't want to say give up parts of the songs, but to kind of change it around.
Yeah,
Like, it was
we're
easy,
both really open to doing it like co-songwriting without even having to talk about it. Yeah. And as I said, like, Mike would send me over some stuff and I'd be like, I love this, but I feel like this is just a pre-chorus. We need like a main chorus. Yeah. And we had that with quite a few songs, and that's why it feels like such a proper collaboration.
Yeah, that's great.
But some of Mike's songs, like Lies and Thieves and Never Let Me Down, that's like all him. It's just...
Yeah. There's some songs... Yeah. Well, I mean, you're kind of working semi as a producer there, which I know you've mentioned, because you're sort of producer, arranger, songwriter, whatever you want to call it, but you're identifying songs that don't need to be touched as well.
Yeah.
Which is, that's a real skill. You don't need to like stick your oar in and like
exactly.
get your own bit in there, which is a confidence from you to be like, no, Mike's done a great job here, let's leave it.
I think that's why it felt right to do it now.
Yeah.
And even though it's like taken a hilariously long time to get it over the line, but as I said, that before, the way we were doing it was a bit haphazard, whereas it was really exciting for me to come in that kind of role.
Yeah. Do you think that's also because with your solo career, like you'd kind of got to a nice point, even though it was like a new beginning with Fully Restored, it also was a bit of a bookend in a way for like, you know what I mean? So the timing for you to be open to the idea was perfect as well.
Yeah. At that time for me, like I just had enough of everything really, and I needed a bit of an escape. And I know Mike was in a sort of similar place to an extent, where we were just like, oh, should we just meet up and have a couple of beers and write some songs? And then just found it was like, this is the most fun I've had in about 2 years.
And I think really with that, like, I think we originally thought we had about, I don't know, 8 songs, 9 songs that we were going to record, and I think we ended up writing about 4 or 5 new ones, like really.
Yeah, we ditched half of the ones we originally have, I think. But they were just dated, I mean, we kept... I love, like, Class Clown, a song on the album. We've literally had that since day one. Nice. And I remember when we used to demo these songs, we didn't know how to do, like, reverb and stuff. So I remember recording the original vocals for that in like your parents' bathroom because it had like a slight echo on it, and like standing in the shower, and we didn't even have a proper microphone. We had a microphone that was on a video camera that my band used to use to film gigs. We used that mic, plugged it into the Mac, and then had that in the shower while I was recording like the vocals.
That's cool though.
But it was great. Cool. And that song, we haven't touched that. And I love that that's on there. And it came out great. It's really cool.
So like, Mike, you've got to the point where you're writing songs, and I mean, I'm assuming you're pretty excited by how it was going and wanting to do it more, or was it just kind of casual with how you went about it after the first session?
I think everything felt quite kind of similar to what we'd done previously, but I think we just, I don't know if it take it a bit more seriously, or whether we had,
there must have been a level of commitment somewhere for you both to be like, let's actually put together a record, not just a song or a couple of songs.
Did we? I don't know.
Maybe I don't know. Enjoyed each other's company.
I think we just. I don't know why. I can't really explain that. I think we just both. I mean,
you must have enjoyed it.
I think that's all it was. Yeah. I think it literally came down to really enjoying, no pressure, writing music, recording the demos. I don't even know what really made us go, right, we're going to properly record this now. I don't know, because nothing had really changed with the way that we interact with each other in that sense. It was just have some beers, record some songs like we did 15 years ago.
It might have been fewer beers.
Possibly. Maybe that was the problem all the time.
Probably. Because it actually meant like you could
remember stuff
and not get up in the morning and be like...
That was a massive problem at the beginning because we would stay up all night till like 3-4 in the morning. We'd write loads of songs. You know, we'd write the lyrics down, and then in the morning we'd be like, "Do you remember that song?" I'd be like, "No." And then we'd be looking at the lyrics, be like, "I can't read any of those words."
I mean,
we didn't write the chords down. We didn't record it.
It was like voice memos, and it wasn't that easy to like, you know. So now it's pretty easy. Just hit record on your phone. It's like, okay, even if it's a lot worse by being more drunk, you still vaguely pick it out.
No, we had no clue.
It's
just absolute nonsense. Just like...
Out of interest, did you use any of those lyrics from those songs that you can remember? Did they make an appearance?
The original ones? I mean, like Class Clown and Liars and Thieves.
Yeah, they're original. They're original. And I mean, they've been around for so long, it wouldn't surprise me if some of those lyrics were actually originally from other songs.
Yeah. There was also one song that you had 3 songs that was like one song at one point, and it had like the chorus of one thing and a verse out. And I remember we'd be jamming it, and especially after a couple of beers, it'd be like, what is going on? Because what song is this? And it'd be like, oh, I've changed the name of that. It's the name of the other one, different chords and that. And it'd be like, this is chaos.
I think that's what's quite nice, having them finally down, because I've always enjoyed doing that, just taking bits out of other songs and putting them in.
It's a good way to write. You're taking your best bits and putting them in one song. So that recording session we did last summer, that was a lot of fun. And it was probably one of the most relaxed recording sessions I've ever done. Part of the reason is we set up in Ben's house, and whenever it's a kind of acoustic-led album, it's always nice to get out of the studio when you don't need to be in the studio. I love my studio, but when you can create that sort of living room vibe, it's just so chill. Like, we just turned up, eased into it. Everything was kind of set up. The mics were there, and it was just, really comfortable. We had worked together similarly on your last solo album, Ben, but I'd say this was even more relaxed, right?
Yeah, I think as well, like we just, you and I have spoken about like when we make records, trying to do like a one-of-a-kind thing like each time. It's not always doable because, if you're trying to track drums, you need a studio for that most of the time. But yeah, it was very chilled. And that's exactly the vibe we wanted this to be.
It kind of was like an extension of how you were writing the songs, right? Because you were writing
how we used to demo them, which was just in a living room. Yeah. So it felt very campy.
Kind of wanted to, and we kind of wanted to keep that feeling and replicate that, not make it too studio sounding, not too polished, raw enough, but also sound good. Obviously, let's talk about Mike. You recording your vocals during those sessions, I guess. Was that the first time that you'd properly recorded, or you'd done some other stuff?
Yeah, I think that's the first time there'd been like proper recordings of vocal tracks, I think.
Yeah.
which was a strange experience, I think.
It's always awkward, right? The
yeah.
first time, because it's just so different to live or hearing your voice back as you're playing the guitar.
And I think what kind of really made it clear is when, like, a few more days into it, when got to record some of the lead guitar and just realizing how much quicker and how much more comfortable I felt doing that, and just kind of it would just come straight out, whereas the vocals were a bit harder. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it just took a little time to sort of get your confidence up and just get rid of that initial, like, thinking about what you're doing, getting yourself to the point where you're just performing it rather than thinking about what note I've got to hit. And like,
we wanted to keep that live feel, like live dive bar
which
vibe.
is very easy for you because you've done 100, like basically hundreds and thousands of them. But like for Mike to recreate that was, you know, from a producer's standpoint, I tried to just like ease you into it. It took a little while to get there. And actually for the last takes we did, which were basically overdubs for Never Let Me Down, I would say you were kind of a different studio singer by that point, with how much more confident you were.
Yeah, and I think we'd sung those songs a couple of times live as well, hadn't we? Which probably made a bit of a difference. But yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
But like with anything, like the confidence just comes.
I was going to say as well, like, all credit to Mike, because putting out like Never Let Me Down first as well, it would have been easy to put out like a song perhaps that I led, and then be like, oh, I'm going to like sing a bit on the verse or whatever. But we've gone full like Mike at the front, which I think is the right.
I think it's what
do.
It needs to be.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So like all credit to Mike for. Yeah, because it's a big thing. Like I remember like the transition from going, as I said, like Mike's played lead guitar in front of thousands of people, like for me, multiple times, never breaks a sweat. But I remember what the transition was like, going from like a drummer, feeling like, like I love playing the drums, very confident here. And then you're suddenly like, your voice is the main sound, and your lyrics, which is very personal, is suddenly out in front of everyone. And it's it's,
well, you're vulnerable. You're there for like everyone to see and hear. Like,
you're very naked up there.
Yeah, you are. Props to Mike to finally doing that. I want to go back a little bit and talk about influences for this, because you do sort of cover slightly different styles, but generally, I know we touched on it, like the music you're into. Was there anything conscious in terms of what you wanted to achieve musically together? Where did the influences come from for people that don't know?
Do you want to answer this one first?
Yeah, I suppose I didn't quite answer it, but I think what's interesting coming together is, like, Ben with his kind of some of the drumming background is the songwriting, and the way I play is very unstructured. like very unstructured. So I think in terms of putting the songs together, that had a big impact. I think from like listening to, I don't know, Bob Dylan and stuff from my end, like a lot of what I was doing was thinking about the lyrics, and some of the structure was the last thing I'd think about, or the strumming pattern, the last thing I think about.
If it's all.
Yeah. That's fair. Yeah.
For me, like, once we had the songs down and, you know, like organized, for me, like, I really wanted to get across like the different sound and style of the voices and how we each of us sing. And, you know, Mike and I have always been like massive fans of like Rancid, who have two lead singers. And for me, there's a song called like Cat Like Thief with Boxcar Racer.
Yeah.
And the two voices in that with like Tim Armstrong and Tom DeLonge, is just like, that was like the main reference that I really wanted to get across. And in fact, I think I only told you that at the end of the mixing sessions, and you were like, could have really done with knowing that. And I was like, but I think we achieved that anyway.
I know that's sometimes a hard question to answer, because it's not always consciously that you're doing that. Sometimes it's subconsciously. To me, Mike has a very strong sort of Tim Armstrong quality to it, where it's all character. The way you say things isn't the way other people would say it. And that's what I really wanted to get out of you and get you to lean into, because whenever you do those things, it's like, oh, that's the coolest bit in the song, sort of thing.
And I think I remember that from one of the recordings, because I remember you saying, oh, that bit's out of time with the vocals. And I remember you saying, saying about, but every single time he does it, it's that. It's in the same place.
Yeah, exactly. That, and
which I'd never thought about.
No, you're just doing you, right? Yeah. That's really cool. And I'd say Ben's got a very distinct voice, and so do you, Mike. It's really cool to have that play. And in terms of songs across the album, I know we're not completely talking about the album here today. We'll do another one where we go into each song, but there's songs where you lead them, Ben, and other songs where, Mike, you lead them, and they kind of play a different role, and sometimes you're interweaving, and it's exciting to hear that interplay, especially like you've got songs which you would never write, Ben, on your own, and to hear you singing on those is really cool. And
I think there's actually only I only started from scratch 2 out of the 8. So that's why I loved it. You know, I've said it before, like, not to repeat myself, but coming in with that role was really cool.
Yeah, nice. So we've got a few live dates later on in the year, right?
Supporting myself.
Yeah, which is yeah.
So on Saturday the 5th of October in Manchester at the Castle Hotel, I'm playing a headline show.
Yeah.
And Campaign for Nothing are doing a full set support, which will be a lot of fun. And the following Saturday night, on the 12th of October, at the Jericho Tavern in Oxford, yes, I'll also be supporting myself, which would be great. So there's a lot of my voice.
Yeah. Well, you're going to have to
not go too wild.
Exactly.
And support, sadly.
Yeah.
My voice.
Good
it's going to
luck.
be an interesting one to see if you can hold back, which I know you can't.
No.
So.
But you forget though that obviously the vocals are shared,
you're right,
though, so it's
yeah,
I'm
but
only
some
really
of them
going to play
are
like
quite
3.
high.
Yeah, we'll see.
Might have to change them for live.
It's not like me to get carried away on stage, mate. So we'll be fine.
But yeah, Mike, how did you find the last shows where you previewed Never Let Me Down, which is now out on Spotify and Apple Music, wherever you get your music? Yeah, how did you find those performances?
Yeah, it's good fun. I think the second one I absolutely loved. I think the second one was good. Unlike all these things, you know, you learn a few lessons from each time you do it. So yeah, the one in Manchester was much more enjoyable. I
think the difference will be this time. Like obviously with that, it was kind of like all you for one song, so it's like quite a lot of pressure on one song.
I think it's one of those things where with like the sound check, where I approached that one the same way I do it with my lead guitar.
Yeah.
And then obviously the level of comfort's not the same. So as soon as it starts like being a bit weird, then yeah.
But it was cool though. I just thought it was a really cool thing to do in the middle of a show.
No, it's
like,
really cool.
Hey, we've got a new band coming out. Here it is.
Yeah, that'd be exciting for you to do a full set, and you'll have enough time to like do a proper sound check. Be a little diva, Mike. You'll be able to do that.
I'll give it a go.
I think as well, if you go up on stage obviously Mike did the whole set, you know, doing keys and lead guitar, but it's quite weird to like do one song. You always take like 1 or 2 songs to get warmed up for a show. So to be like in the middle of a set, be like, right, you got to do your song now.
I know.
I think that was also my first live show playing keys through lots of songs.
Yeah.
It was your first ever show playing keys.
Yeah,
wasn't it? That same,
the
same gig.
that's going on. Yeah,
Was that actually your first gig singing live?
Yeah, like on that tour.
We did backing.
There's some backing bits. Yeah.
Lead singing.
Yeah, lead singing. So like fair play. I mean, how old are you, Mike?
35.
So look, anyone listening, it's never too late. Pick up that guitar. What I love about this as a story, right, is like, yes, you've been pissing around writing songs for years, but like on some level, maybe you don't give yourselves enough credit. You've had to commit to actually doing a record together. You haven't given up that idea. You just thought this is really nice for you as mates. I know that's something that you've said on this podcast before, where you know, making music with your mates, that's just such a special thing.
Well, it's something you have out forever.
Yeah.
You know, it's like a proper legacy that you leave behind for like, you know, your kids and your grandkids and stuff can listen to that. And even if you just do it for that.
Yeah.
But the recording the Campaign for Nothing album was the most fun I think I've had out of any recording session because it was just so relaxed and it was just so much fun. There was a lot of laughing going on. One session in particular, and we will come on to, you know, talking about the whole album and song by song, but there was one moment where I think it was the most I've ever laughed in my life. And we get a proper like laughing fit.
I was genuinely like, are they ever going to stop laughing?
I couldn't breathe. I was like, it's the most I've I don't even know what was.
Because I thought it'd be really funny to. We choose one pair of headphones, don't you? Two, and we'll just
Which
switch.
is classic you two, isn't it?
Yeah. Which like
it wasn't even that funny, but it was. Once I was gone, I was away.
You were
and
gone,
I was absolutely uncontrollable.
And I think I didn't expect you to go in because I forgot that part was so high that you were
And
getting into.
I'm in,
so
I'm
could
like-
I put it in there? You
Yeah.
just went, yeah.
I think
couldn't
that's
deal with
actually
it.
isn't it captured on camera?
I think like
Yeah.
some of it.
I'm
I think
pretty
is.
sure.
I was
like
in
that-
pieces. I
it
really was.
I'm pretty sure we've got that on camera. We have to dig that out
Yeah.
for people. But
Well, we're putting together a full music video for Never Let Me Down,
Nice.
like studio footage that will be coming out soon. And we've filmed a lot of the recording process. So we're going to put together like a documentary
cool.
showing like loads of behind the scenes of us making the record and all that kind of stuff, which would be cool.
Well, you've said it now, so got to deliver to
I know.
people.
I know.
Commitment.
I know.
Just cut that bit out.
I mean, do you want to announce the next song now, or do you want to save that?
We
I'm
can
working on
announce
it now, and I'm really excited about this one.
We haven't got a firm date
No,
yet
but
for
it's
release.
it's kind of leans more into those punkier influences. You know, I think it's the perfect next song because it's kind of a continuation of Never Let Me Down, but more in your face, I guess.
Do you want to announce the title of the next song?
Yeah, I knew you were going to ask me that. I spent the last 30 seconds trying to remember it.
That's
why I asked you,
yeah.
Because I was like, he doesn't know what it is.
I was going
does he?
through it, and then you said lean on it. So I was like, oh, maybe it's that other song. Yeah, Dreaming and Screaming.
Yeah, it's a really cool, upbeat, punky number, and look forward to people hearing that. I've got to get to work and finishing that, but
Yeah.
shouldn't be too long for you people.
Well, we're gonna try and release like a new single every month through
That's the
the label,
plan,
which
yeah.
would be great. And yeah, Campaign for Nothing singles out the door every month on streaming platforms before we drop the album. So a good few months of putting out new music, which would be a lot of fun.
Cool. So I just want to ask, is there going to be more? Is this a one and done, or are you writing songs for the next one?
Well, the thing is, right, is that we'd always be writing songs. Like I already sent Ben 5 other songs since, like,
So, yes.
during it.
So yes.
So yeah, looks
yeah,
like it.
Yeah.
That's cool.
I think that the beauty of it is that there's no pressure on us
Yeah.
to like, we can just do what we want. But it did make me laugh that I don't think we'd even finished recording this first album before Mike had already basically written half of the next one. So I was like, pretty sure we will do a second one. I mean, it's pretty simple. I think as long as we're both enjoying it and we both find it a lot of fun, then we'll keep doing it. And
Nice.
we
Well-
won't wait 20 years for the
No.
second one.
Well, hopefully
We could,
that's a...
but we won't.
Well, I mean, never say never. It could be 20 years. Who knows? But yeah, hopefully that's a lesson to
Album
other
number 2
people.
at 60.
Yeah.
Why not? It's never too late. Yeah, pick up the guitar, people, and follow in the footsteps of Ben and Mike here.
Mm.
Find a friend, make some music. Anything else you want to go through?
Singles out every month on Spotify, so make sure you're following us on there. Album's coming out this year, and of course, you've got the live shows 5th and 12th of October, supporting one of our heroes, Ben McKelvey, which would be amazing. Absolutely honoured. What an amazing opportunity.
Where can we find you on socials?
All Campaign for Nothing. It's not
Perfect.
all campaign, it's just Campaign for Nothing, not all Campaign for Nothing.
Nice
Yeah.
and clear there.
Just to confirm, Campaign for Nothing. That's it.
Mike, thanks for doing the podcast. I just want to say thank you for your time.
First ever podcast.
Yeah. I would love to delve in further on the song's meanings next time if you're open to it.
Yeah.
I know there's some heavy ones in there,
Mm.
but
Yeah.
if you're willing to, I would love.
Yeah, definitely.
I think
yeah,
that'd
be good. It'd be a really nice listen.
I think I haven't thought about stuff this much ever.
Yeah.
So thanks.
Well,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like, I know it's taken us a long time to record them, but there's a lot of meaning behind each and every track. And it'd be cool to chat about that for sure. So we'll definitely do that.
Cool. Well, thanks for listening, everyone. See you on the next one.
Bye.
Cheers. Bye.